Gosh damn it. Are we live yet? Yes, we are live. Holy
I
crap.
see a red thing in the
I
corner, so
didn't
it
see the
must
I
be
didn't see the live thing go live.
something's happening.
Something didn't go up on the screen. In any case, folks, we are live. I apologize for our minor lateness. It's par for the course, but still. Folks, I am Rach Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. With me, as always, on Saturday nights is none other than my lovely wife, Rachel,
Hello,
affectionately known as Rach.
Rach.
I can see that the chat has been
Yeah, good
going
stuff.
going crazy from before the show. So God bless you all. Thank you, Paul, for getting better at catching these live streams. We do appreciate
Nice.
it. Yeah, the Game Wizards is a good book. I am not bummed out that I still have a few pages to go. How's that for a kick? Haven't quite finished it. I should. Uh, Also, Paul, hope the R&R and the Poconos was fantastic. I need to get some time off from a weekday slag. End of May, early June is the current plan. It's good to detach from the day to day as much as one can. And honestly, um, here's the thing: I'm retired now for 6 years. I know. Those of you who want to say "fuck you" can say "fuck you." God bless you for saying it. I understand it. Rach is retired now for nearly 6 months.
Maybe a little more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And part of the idea was, hey, we need a chance to go away. My parents have a place in the Poconos, been in the family since like 1969 or so. My grandfather bought it.
Mhm.
So the idea was to get there and use it. And we hadn't been up since the end of December. And we picked the right days to go up. Let's just start with that. The temperature, the weather was spot on amazing. When a Poconos hits 79, 80 in mid-April, you know you're doing pretty well, and you pick the right days to be up in the mountain. So thanks, God bless, and thank you. It was a good refresh. Uh, Little inside information. Uh, I've learned that you can burn through a lot of data on your phone real quickly by using it as a hotspot to stream YouTube videos.
Mm.
Oh my God. Uh, I guess the piss poor DSL is gonna have to be good enough most times. Because we burned through a lot. If we hadn't come back when we did, if we hadn't come back yesterday, if we were up there until I don't know, we wouldn't be up to
If we
East
spent a
December.
week up there, we'd have been like
Yeah,
had no data left.
yeah. It would be like
Mhm.
live stream. My live stream's gonna cost me at least 4 or 5 gigs of data that I don't have. So, um, Elfbait, our secret to con health with vitamins, lots of water, taking naps, and not eating crap. Also, emergency and Zycam. We're going to go into that
Oh,
because when it comes
I
to
guess self care at the convention.
yes, curious to hear Tenkar's con health tips, and if there's a different set of tips between the small cons and the mega cons. Now, when you say mega con, what is a mega con? Like Gen Con, like Dragon Con? Because we don't do shit like that. Okay, our biggest is probably Game Hole, and that's what
Yeah.
for 4,500, 5,000 maybe. So, absolutely interesting hearing what he has to say. That was what worked for us. I imagine it scales pretty well. Yeah, it probably does. Well, with two school age kids, it's a necessary discipline at home too. Yes. I mean, one of the things that
Hmm.
they're finding out is that there's been what less flu because everybody's been masked up. But they've also been finding that for the kids, um, you've got less less illness being transferred at school. But that also means now when all of a sudden you go out elsewhere, you're now exposed to stuff because they're finding that, you know, people who have not been working from home, right? You have not been exposed to stuff. And now all of a sudden you're going back to work. Now you're exposed to germs again you haven't been
Oh.
exposed to for a year and a half, 2 years. So there's something to be said to being exposed to germs. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I am not going to pretend to be one. But there's certainly a conversation to be had about that.
Hmm.
Uh, Germ magnets they are, yes, the kids. It burns me out every time we get A close proximity exposure to COVID email from our schools. We're all vaxxed up, but still. And yes, and guess what? COVID's going to be here to stay.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. I wish everyone had common sense. Paul, so do I. But common sense is not as common as we would like to think.
It's not as evenly distributed.
No. Shadow, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Almost dinner time. Gosh darn it. Damn it.
Mhm.
Like I said before, we were 2 minutes out when I put that up. But yes, I'm always caught up with the chat. And once I catch up with the chat, we'll start hitting it as well as you can. And Tom, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Gen Con is like, I have not been to Gen Con since the early 90s.
I've never been.
So, yeah, it's less a convention. It's more of a, I have no fucking idea right now. An experience, but it is an event. When I'm talking about conventions, you have conventions like North Texas ranges from what? 450 to 500.
You mean regional cons?
Regional
maybe?
cons, Gary Con, Gamehole Con, couple thousand, right? You got Shire Con, maybe it hits 100. Total Con, maybe it hits 1,000. So you got this range, right? But let's be honest. When I was working, when I was going to work, even though my last couple of years it was an administrative position for the NYPD, I was exposed probably to dozens, if not 100 or so, individuals on a daily basis that they themselves were exposed to their kids, their families, their commute, and I was getting exposed to all those germs. So I would come down with a lot of minor colds during the year, but I would rarely get really seriously ill. And why was it? You're probably building up this, immunity. I don't know, it's a verboten word these days. But you were building up your body's own immunity to whatever illnesses were out there by being exposed to it in bits and pieces. Now, the last 2 years, we have often been either in lockdown, masked up. Everybody is using hand sanitizer on their hands. Got to kill all the germs. Even I go to my doctor's office, it's like and with a handshake, and now it's the elbow bump.
Yeah.
Sorry, I find the elbow bump to be really disturbing. But
We can wait.
Ricky waves. Yeah, Doc, love you, but the elbow bump. Come on. But these are all things that are part of the new reality, right? Mm-hmm. The new reality has been for the last 2 years that we are not being exposed to germs of any type. A large part, right? And even without that, even with minimal exposure or lesser exposure than usual, Rach and I came down with COVID at the end of the year. It is what it is. Yet again.
Well, it was everywhere in New York City.
Yes.
Anywhere you went, people were sick with it. Between Christmas and New Year's, I think that was a peak
time. But when we come to conventions, what happens at conventions? You are seeing people, not just people that are regional to you, right? Generally speaking. You go to work, these are people that all live within
in the tri-state area,
Yeah, it's the metropolitan area. In our case, even people are commuting in from outside within 40, 50-mile radius, right? There's a certain continuity to what you're being exposed to. You go to a convention, likely it's out of your state, right? If we go to North Texas, we are going to North Texas in June. When we go to North Texas, we are going to be going halfway across the country and be exposed to germs
and strains of things that we don't necessarily see in New York.
Right, from everywhere. Okay, usually at North Texas, you get a lot of international visitors.
That's true too.
You're going to get exposed to stuff that might not even be something that's within the U.S. And these people aren't willfully going around saying, "Hey, I'm going to expose you to."
Right, it's just part of being a human and carrying what we all carry.
So I was with TanaCon last year on an invitation. It was really just a dealer room and cosplay. I'm sorry you got stuck with that. That sounds
What
like
con was this?
Kineticon. Never even heard of it. TotalCon in
Kineticon. Is that in
TotalCon.
Connecticut?
I guess so.
Oh.
TotalCon up in Massachusetts is pretty good. We should be there next year as things settle out. But here's the thing: when I was going to the Rare Con back in the '90s, what did we always hear about? This is prior to the internet. This is prior to social media. You would hear of gamer funk, right?
Oh, in the 90s?
Yes.
Oh,
You heard about
that was before I started.
Yes, right. You heard it before you started.
So it's been on the scene for a good long time.
It's been on the scene for a good long time,
and I don't think probably since the 90s, but since gamers been gaming.
Since
gamers been gaming, there's been gamer funk.
I am sure since the first time that Gary had a gathering in his basement at the old sand table, that there was gamer funk involved.
Sand table?
Sand tables where they did the war games on a big, large table that had like sand, so you could build like
like in a nursery school.
I guess so. Yeah. But in any case, I'm sure since the first gathering of gamers, there was gamer funk involved. And gamer funk, as we're going to define it tonight, is the odor that gathers from being unwashed for a number of days. Usually, it's because
you're maybe unwashed, unchanged. There's probably a confluence of factors,
right? Well, and a lot of it is because what happens is we gather in situations that we get excited, we sweat, we get emotional, and everybody. Your body is a factory for
bacteria. Right? Isn't that what leads to the smell that creates?
It's a factory for various scents, usually not good ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and going back to the early '90s, I still recall when we were at I forget what hotel we stayed at Gen Con, but there were people who, like that general area of the hotel where you have chairs, like the lobby for people to just hang out. And there were people that you could tell were sleeping in the lobby. There were people that outright were sleeping in the hallways. Like you'd step over people on your way to your hotel room.
See, that was really poor security at the hotel.
Well, I mean, because there is a certain
and then I guess you pass by, you're like, oh, he's just one of those that's doing that game.
Right. Yeah. Oh, he's one of those
one of those gaming people.
One of those
not gonna hurt anybody, it's safe,
He's one of those game peoples. So people used to sleep in the hallways. I have not seen that since I've gone back to convention going in the last 10 years. Since Rach and I were married and I started going back to conventions, I haven't seen that. But I have heard, going back to conventions a number of years ago, stories of people that were literally like, they go to a convention and their car was their hotel room. Or one person was sleeping in a tent, I was told, off property. I didn't ask any further. I didn't really want to know any further. But here's the thing.
I mean, that's all right, like if they have like a campground, Well, I mean, because usually when a hotel or like a resort or something like this provides like a campground, you pay your fee, you have access to showers.
And here's part of the
ways of hygiening.
Here's the key: hygiene. Okay, so before we even go into what you should be doing to keep yourself healthy, good tips on that, which we will touch on. But and guess what? Most of that revolves around common sense. Okay, you're gaming with other players, and this doesn't just mean because if you're, how do the English call it? When you are roughing it, or basically, sleeping outside of a standard location. But it doesn't matter whether you're roughing it or not. Part of your daily activity, and listen, I am somebody.
Part of your self care. There's usually a series of rituals that
Yes.
we do every morning. Brushing our teeth, doing whatever you do to have your hair look right, putting on your deodorant.
Right.
That might happen multiple times a day. For some people,
But and for some people that include, listen, when I was working, every morning was the 3 S's: shower, shit, shave.
There you go.
And I could do that in about 15, 20 minutes to get my ass out the door and get to work. In retirement, it is obviously less on the shave. The shower is probably every other day. But here's the thing. When you're going to a convention, figure your convention's going to last 4 days, and you're going to be there for 3, 4, 5 nights. You should be, at the minimal, looking to shower every other night. Now, maybe you are somebody who is going to stay in your car. Listen, everybody has their own budget.
Yeah.
And some budgets are tighter than others.
And you can't exclude people because they might not be able to afford the room.
Right. But you should make arrangements to use a shower. And failing that, at the very minimal, and forgive me if anybody gets offended by the phraseology, the phrasing that I'm going to use, at the very minimal, you should be looking at taking what we used to call, when I was younger, a Polish bath on a daily basis. And that means even if you're in a restaurant, we should have those body wipes. And
wouldn't you bring there's like so many the wipes with a cologne on it, even like just whatever baby wipes you want to bring. They're not expensive, I mean, wipe out the pits, wipe out whatever creases you have. You wipe it out
because now Randall Porter says at Gen Con UWP in the 70s, we used the showers in the gym. So if we got sweaty, we would go take a shower once or twice a day. And Randall, God bless you.
Because I was saying to Eric when we were talking about GaryCon, for example, they have a day spa there. So the day spa is open to anybody in the community. You go and you pay a flat fee and be able to use the showers, the saunas, the for men, the men's locker room, for ladies, the ladies' locker room, and whatever they do. But you can use the pools. You can use that for so much self-care, like your exercise. But in addition, they have showers in there. You're able to get yourself clean.
Tom says call it a cat bath. All right, Tom, you probably are right. It probably is more
a cat bath. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Honestly, how often have you sat down and gone, "Oh wow, wait, that smell is me"?
Oh, I'm constantly worried.
You're constantly, but
no.
Honestly,
it's that one.
Honestly, folks, the chance, the opportunity, the insight that you will have that that there's an odor attached to you is minimal. I still remember I can't remember the name of brand of shoes I bought, but man, I bought these nice, comfortable shoes.
Oh.
And I was at work at my desk, so I was in an administrative position with my detectives in the office. I'm like, finally, what the hell is that smell? Now I'm smelling something, and then I realized, oh my God, it's my shoes, and I had to go to my locker, get out my patrol my patrol boots, throw these shoes, bag them, and throw them out in the locker room so it wouldn't stink up my office, and put on my patrol boots because that's my shoes. It was bad leather, but I mean
something that just didn't breathe.
Yeah, something it literally reeked. Now, if by the time I became aware that it was me, God only knows how much my staff, my detectives, my cops worse smelling. Now, let's step away from that aspect and take you to a game convention. And if you are somebody who is excited and you are participating in everything, and you are, listen, I'm not going to throw a blanket term saying that gamers are out of shape. A good portion of us are, but if you are getting very active and if you are getting very excited about the games you're playing, your metabolism starts to increase. Your body starts to reflect that, and you will sweat. You will generate odor, assuming that there's odor to generate. Now, if you have showered and you put on deodorant that morning, you're probably good most of the day, all the day, but it doesn't cover you for 4 or 5 days. And I still remember from being in college, getting stuck in a room with somebody at our gaming group, our college gaming group at college, and it was the, oh my God, who the fuck did not bathe? Because you got that odor, and it's that, I don't want to describe it, but it's sour, and it gets right into your nose, and it makes your eyes tear, and you can't get rid of it. You don't want that at a gaming convention, right? You don't want to be that person. It's bad enough when you smell that person.
Well, I think it just, it's an etiquette thing too, like sometimes, people are so excited for the games and they're living for the games during that time, and then they're living less for their hygiene, and then it sets up this really uncomfortable interaction where, like for me, as a social worker, working with people for much of my career who had like severe psychiatric illness, and drug addictions and stuff like that, like when you had lower functioning patients and they had an odor to them, that was for me, the most uncomfortable situation, because you're there talking to this adult person who you're sort of feeling like this person knows what hygiene is. This person, like,
you would expect.
I don't think I have to educate this person, and I don't want to be condescending to the person and sort of, oh, well, you have to shower, and when you shower, you have to use the soap and lather up, and all this stuff. It's just very uncomfortable. I could have a conversation like accusing somebody of diverting their medication or their positive toxicology, their homicidal, their suicidal ideation. Those things were fine for me. But when it came time to say, well, the way you smell right now is very offensive and disruptive in the groups that you're attending. And here's what we need to do. It sucked. I hated writing about that in someone's treatment plan. Take a shower daily.
And these are basics, right? I mean, Randall says brush your teeth. There's a spare toothbrush.
Hey, yeah.
In your bag, breath mints too. None of that is wrong, okay? Because again, your conventions are about socializing. I'll be honest.
Yes.
Like North Texas, we are both signed up for the convention. Was I up after the live stream last night trying to register Rach and I for games? No, because we're about going to the convention to socialize with people. Will I play in games? Probably, but I don't worry about which ones I'm going to be in. It's not, oh my God, I'm there to socialize. Right. I'm there to socialize these days. If I'm there to socialize, guess what? The last thing I want in my socialization period is for myself or somebody else to smell like they've been rotting under a bridge. Okay, and I'm sure I have done that at times. Like I told you, when my shoes were rotting on my feet.
Aww.
I was like, oh, and they weren't cheap shoes. It wasn't like I was at like Payless. Okay, these were shoes from a major department store. They were like $115. This is going back close to 10 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't some Payless shoes.
No. But it can happen, right? And You don't want to be that one. Now, Shadow makes a valid point, and Shadow, I'm gonna tell you, it's a close one. What's worse, that or the smell of folks who just lit up? And what I'm saying,
if they just lit up, meaning like they passed gas.
No,
lit up.
I'm assuming he's talking about somebody who was just smoking the ganja, the weed, the Mary Jane.
You know what? Honestly, a fart. Someone lighting up marijuana, somebody lighting up a cigarette. Those things I know are going to be transient, and I can anticipate that that's going to leave. I don't know when this person who smells so badly, in at work, it's like, okay, their session's like 50 minutes. So I have 50 minutes to deal with this, where like if you're like in a game, those go on for hours. So it's like, when is the end in sight?
Right.
Like I guess
Shadow and Son. I can't Shadow. I can't go to a grocery store without it smelling like someone just smoked a big ass joint in the actual store. And honestly, we were at a local pub. We were at a local pub a couple, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we're just sitting at the bar. We're having a good time, socializing with our friends, all this stuff. And the door opens up. Somebody else is coming in, and before they even sat down, you could smell the distinct, pungent odor of weed, and it never left until they left. And even then, it stuck around for a little bit. But it got a little bit. You got a little,
because he would go out and come back.
Yeah, but it got
constantly.
You got a little numb to it because it wasn't something that would
somehow it dissipates, or you somehow get desensitized to that.
Body odor.
I don't know. Yeah, you just become anosmic, but you can't. I can't. I'll keep it on my eye. I don't know that I can become anosmic to very severe body odors.
So Randall wants to know. It depends if it's bad weed. My experience now, not to get off topic too much, but as somebody who came on the job as a cop in '96, hit the streets in '97 in the South Bronx, and within 6 months was assigned to a uniformed narcotics enforcement unit, which I know is an oxymoron, but it's what they did. I knew, and I quickly learned the smell of weed, and the weed that we got back in the '90s, including Hydra, which was the high-end weed back then, is nothing like the weed we smell today.
Yeah.
The weed we smell today, it smells super potent, super pungent.
Because it's so engineered.
Right. It is levels beyond anything that I was experiencing 20, 25 years ago as a cop. I mean, if somebody was smoking in a car or had been smoking in a car back then, you be talking to the driver and you'd be going, I think I smell weed. Now, I can walk up as a pedestrian. I can walk up to a car 15 feet away whose windows are closed and go, holy shit, those motherfuckers are choking up in their car.
We smell it a lot on the roadway here.
Yeah.
Like on the expressway.
Yeah. Or at least, yeah, so Shadows, not saying not saying I never partook myself, but as I get older and have my son around, I just want to expose my son to it. And listen, that is certainly something that we can get into. Listen, there are a lot of ways, a lot of vices, a lot of things that people do to escape, get a little high, whether it's alcohol or drugs. And I know that the perception is, the current narrative is that marijuana is harmless. Whether it is or isn't, my opinion, I'm not speaking as a medical professional. I'm speaking as somebody who, as a parent, my son is older now, as somebody that was in law enforcement, somebody that an uncle of a 10-year-old. 11. Sorry. Oh my God. I'm going to get my ass beat. But as somebody in those situations, my problem with marijuana is that secondhand smoke aspect. My first time getting high from marijuana, and I never partook directly, was at a Depeche Mode concert at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay.
I guess back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it was a hell of a high, and it wasn't me taking anything. It was everybody around me taking, because it fills the air. So you can complain about the jackass that's having I don't know, half a case of beer, but guess what? You're not going to get a secondary high for that jackass having that secondary beer.
Mm-hmm.
You can even complain about the jackass that's putting coke up the nose or heroin in their arm, but you are not going to be exposed to it. You might be exposed to the effects of it. Their fix need, the potential for criminal acts to pay for their fix, all that stuff. But them shooting up is not going to get you high. Them snorting their narcotics is not going to get you high. Them smoking marijuana, it
has the potential.
That's my issue with it. I don't like the smell, personally. So when I smell it, I get offended because, it's almost like you're like, wow, somebody drank so much they vomited on my clothes and I gotta wear it now. You smoked so much that I have this all over me. I'm gonna go through your cloud of marijuana, and even once I leave it, it's gonna still be in my head that I'm still smelling it. Maybe even if I'm not, because that's how intense it was. So I don't begrudge anybody that wants to experience that. I understand it.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is what you do in your own home is in your own home until it affects people outside your own home. And if it does that, then it's not a personal experience. Now you're making it, you're forcing it to be a public experience. And then that, to me, changes the narrative. But my perspective might be different than yours. Everybody, I'm not saying my viewpoint is right, but it is my viewpoint. So it has to be right. It's not we say on the internet. I said it, therefore it must be true. So Tammy, high schools are not viewed as a big deal whatsoever, and vaping is their new thing.
Yes.
I remember when vaping started, and we were eating out at a Fridays.
Oh yeah,
that's the last time I ate at Fridays.
That was the last.
It was okay, and we were eating there with my son and his girlfriend, and the table next to us, this mother effing son of a this 20 or something.
Yeah, it was like 320 something guys.
Were vaping, and no smoking, right? But I guess they were like, well, vaping's okay.
It doesn't say
say you can't vape. I swear to God.
Well, yeah, it was before they really set, would extend those things to
right. Vaping was its own. Vaping was this weird thing. Like, wow, how do we treat vaping? Oh, I don't know. Is it really smoking? Oh well, it's not smoke, so I guess we can't really call it cigarettes. So they're free to do it. I don't want to smell your shit. Okay, any activity where I have to, against my will, participate in your activity is probably not something that should be done in public. So again, I don't begrudge smokers. I really don't. I feel their pain of addiction, and I work with people that go out.
Yeah.
Every 30 to 45 minutes from the office and go out and have their cigarette, and I never had that issue. I understand it. I worked with cops. I worked with a sergeant that was a chain smoker. It was really sucked to have to drive him because it wasn't like he was stepping out of the car to do it. So, but again, my personal opinion is if you're engaging in an act in public, that is anything. If your drinking could get me high because you were drinking 5 feet from me, then you know what? You should be drinking further away from me. All right, I don't want my children, but it doesn't happen, right? That's not part of the issue. Drinking has its own issues, but smoking, whether it's nicotine, marijuana, vaping, I don't want to smell your shit. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, and even seeing it, like as an ex-smoker, kind of triggering can be for a lot of people,
Shadow sounds like he still smokes cigarettes, but when I'm live streaming lately, I'd rather keep chatting than excuse myself to light up. Chatting with fellow gamers has been so nice. It just feels the urge. And listen, that's a huge thing when it comes to any kind of addiction. All right? People forget that the addictions aren't just physical, they're psychological. You're showing, Shadow, that your addiction is more psychological than physical. And you're finding that you can substitute another activity to distract you from the smoking.
Yeah, or like the late night ones, like a lot of people struggle with those morning cigarettes, Yeah. The ones that have to like smoke within a half an hour of waking.
Anonymous dude, marijuana was made for people like you, Tenkar. Maybe. I will say that Rach and I have a friend that did buy us an edible. This was after I retired, and it was an edible gummy, if I recall.
Like a gummy bear, yeah.
Yeah. So we went home with our edible, and I was like, all right, before I have this edible, I'm gonna make sure I'm situated right, and I'm at home. And I had my edible, and literally within 20 minutes, I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. And I was out for hours. That's my response to it. So, why did I say okay for the edible and say like, I don't like the marijuana? I don't like the smell of marijuana. It's no longer a skunk. Okay, I've dealt with skunks up in the Poconos. Thankfully, we didn't smell any this past time up there. I used to say when I was younger, oh, well, marijuana smells like skunk. It's like skunk weed. There's no comparison now. I think I'm not going to say guaranteed. I'd rather get sprayed by a skunk than have to like stay in a room for 10 minutes with people lighting up the new weed that's on the street and then have to smell like that in my clothes.
You need to do the tomato bath.
Oh my God. Yeah, I gotta bathe in tomato sauce, please, because I gotta get rid of this skunky, skanky smell. Yeah, Shadow, your son's gonna go into the ROTC. Yeah, there's a lot of risks that you don't take, and that was, I will say that when it comes to things, my parents were very supportive of me and my friends actively gaming. And
sure.
Why was that? Because she knew, and she was happy.
Well, this was also like the house where the kids came and congregated for the game.
Right. So whether it was my backyard or the dining room, she knew where all these kids were. She knew what we were doing, and if we were gaming, we were not getting into drugs. We were not getting into alcohol. And not saying that we didn't get into alcohol as we got older, but we didn't get into drugs. And why was that? Because we had a different escape method. And it was a social escape method.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that was a healthy outlet. So I give my parents, but especially my mother, huge props for that. Because listen, I know Tenkar's 54 and he's never tried an illicit substance except for my edible.
You did now. You couldn't when you were working.
Oh, when I was working, there was 20 years where that was. I see a weed plant behind you right now. No, you don't.
Oh, what are they thinking? Oh, do they think that the bamboo is weed?
I don't know.
Or the Easter cactuses?
Yeah.
Or they think you can't mistake a succulent.
Yeah, a non-dude. Good try, man, but no.
Yeah, there are a lot of plants, but just not that.
Yeah, so Tammy's like some of the kids think it's harmless. That's a big problem. And listen, when you're a kid, when you're a teen, everything is harmless. Nothing has a real risk, right? You're invulnerable. You are nothing. No risk. The risks I took as a teen are insane. I mean, I walked railroad tracks on a railroad trestle at like 11 p.m. at night with just moonlight, where some of the ties were missing. Well, this was in Hawley.
Oh.
And what jackass in their right mind would do that shit? But you figure, dude, I'm 18. What's going to happen to me?
Well, yeah, and then like there's other people, like me. I didn't try marijuana till college, so I was sort of like kind of curious, and so I said, "Well, let me just look into this a little bit." And so what I could tell from the research, it was like, okay, well, you know, it doesn't form a physical dependency. I really researched it a lot, and then there are other people around me that use things like LSD and mushrooms and cocaine and things like that, but never. I was too afraid because I looked up. I researched the shit out of those things too, and I was like, all right, we'll go with the least risk thing, and then leave everything else alone. This is the risk I'm willing to take. I'm not willing to trip on acid and possibly forget that I'm tripping on acid and wind in the psych ward. Cocaine was just scary to me.
Yep.
So,
So Tammy saying one of our high schools just walked in and I asked her about vaping.
Mm-hmm.
She said it was more dangerous and it's advertised toward kids with flavors like bubblegum. Yes. New York State.
Oh, yes. Yes. Even like tobacco. Yeah.
Yeah. New York State did away with all. I'm not sure if that was national, but I know New York State did away with all the flavored vapes. All the quote fun flavored vapes.
But they can still order online, no?
Yeah, you probably can, or you can get flavors for your unflavored vape. I don't know how it works, honestly. But I know a lot of people that were smokers transitioned to vaping and have gone back to being active smokers because
oh, you know what's sick? I see like on the YouTube videos, Big Tobacco will advertise themselves as harm reduction. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
If you don't want big harm, come. We'll just put little.
We're no longer Big Tobacco. We're big harm reduction.
Big harm reduction.
Or something to that effect. I'm sure other people have seen it, and I'm just not capturing it quite right. But
that's okay.
The spirit of it was that, and I felt like disgusted by it.
The spirit is 76.
The spirit is, they just want to make their money, and it's just a different form of big tobacco.
Cal, I buy too many miniatures for gaming. I must admit my addiction. Well, see, that's an addiction that won't get you in trouble with anyone except for maybe your spouse. Okay, so that's one of those. I have my own addictions. Gaming material, certainly admit to it.
Yeah.
Rach has her fragrances.
Yes.
So used to be shoes, but we weaned her off shoes.
Yes.
So
harm reduction.
Harm reduction, folks. Yeah. Randall Porter. I found it annoying to go through the cloud of smoke at the entrance of the convention center. Randall, I feel your pain. And here's the thing: a lot of my friends.
That's the hard one because there's people that you want to talk with, but they really need their
nicotine.
They're jonesing for their fix, and so
it's like, if I want to talk to you,
I want to talk to this person. I have to go,
I have to go out for a smoke break, and I don't.
We'll
smoke.
take the little risk.
It's like son of a, but I understand it, And listen, people have their vices. I'm not begrudging anybody their vice. The thing with marijuana is that, listen, maybe you smoke a pack or two of cigarettes a day. You come into a restaurant, you come into a bar. You might stink a little bit if I get close to you, but you probably don't change the odor of the room the moment you walk in the door. If you're somebody who just lit up your joint in an enclosed area and you walk into a restaurant or bar or another enclosed area, guess what? Everybody, you are that fragrant gamer. It's just a different fragrance. Okay. Do you want to be that person at a convention, right? Where you walk in and you sit down at the game table and everybody looks at you like, what the fuck were you just doing? I mean, and that's part. Marijuana holds no secrets, right? Marijuana, you literally broadcast to everybody, hey man, I was toking up. You could say that alcohol. I had a friend God bless him. He was a New York City school teacher for a number of years. And to get through the day, he had vodka in his coffee cup or his coffee mug. And with the idea that it's vodka, nobody's going to know.
Because it's odorless.
It's odorless.
Okay? It's odorless.
All right.
You can't smell it.
So if somebody's going to be drinking vodka at the gaming table, I'll never know, right? I might know from their actions, but I'm not going to know. I'm not going to smell it.
But vodka does smell.
It does, unless you get really good vodka.
Especially cheap vodka.
Cheap vodka smells. You got to get your really highly repeatedly distilled vodka. But in any case, if you just were toking and you come in, guess what? We all know. There's no secrets for the marijuana smoker. You can't go here, oh, dude, I wasn't smoking. You can't. That's when you can't hide. Okay, and I'm not. Again, I don't care what you do so long as it doesn't affect me.
Right. Not that people should feel they have to hide things.
Right. But when you walk into a con and somebody smells bad, the rest of the con, you're giving that person a wide margin so you don't have to smell it. Yes, Vic, that is certainly a huge portion of it. Mm-hmm. Here's the worst part. When you don't know where that odor is coming from, it's harder to avoid, right? But when it's coming at your table, it's impossible to avoid, right? What are you going to walk away from the game table because somebody is really odorific? And I've actually sat at a game table. Oh my God, I'm not going to say which convention it was. It was a number of years ago, where somebody had a body odor so pungent, my eyes started to tear and get watery, and that was more the effect than the actual odor. It was stinging my eyes.
Yeah, I think I was there too. I was turning red and trying to walk toward the back of the booth or whatever.
Yeah. So
opposite corner of the booth.
So these are things that can be avoided. Now, everybody's body chemistry is different. Some people, their body stinks up quicker than others. Listen,
but knowing yourself.
Everybody has to know yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're somebody, there was a period with me before I had Hodgkin's, for the year or two before I had Hodgkin's, I used to literally perspire nonstop. It wasn't really odorific, but it was constant. So I would go to work wearing one shirt, and I would, around lunchtime, mealtime, I would go to the locker room, hang my shirt on a hanger off my locker because it could have been wrung out, take a new shirt, which was probably yesterday's shirt that's now dried, put that shirt on, and I'd have to wear these shirts in a rotation because they needed to get dried. I knew, right? And if I had left that shirt on to keep gathering perspiration, besides the fact that I was going to get cold as hell, it would have started to stink. You've got to take the precautions that you need to take based upon your body and your body chemistry. Nobody else can do that for you. You have to do it. You're the one that has to shower. You're the one that has to wear deodorant. You're the one that has to brush your teeth.
Be kind to yourself and others.
Yeah, because remember, conventions are a social experience. You are there to socialize. You don't want to be part of somebody's bad con experience, right? Now, others were talking about taking vitamins, taking airborne. Mm-hmm. There's different things in airborne that you can take that's high in vitamin C, high in echinacea, all these things are supposed to help you fight off colds, mm-hmm. fight off viruses. I'm not saying you shouldn't take them. I've taken them.
Yeah. And something too, like the air in the hotels sometimes is very dry. So, if you tend to be prone to like sinus irritation, bringing like saline solution to be able to spray up your nose, or, even like, if you're prone to breathing troubles, like congestion, things like that. They make these little tiny inhalers with like essential oils that are placed on like Himalayan salt. And it's you basically sniff at the tube and it helps to open up your airways. So, that's something that I tend to like to have with me for planes and for like very enclosed areas where the air is very still and very stale.
Tammy, Rach, I get you shoes, but now it's candles for me and baskets. I listen, folks. I'm still trying to get through the chat. And this has actually become, like, for the live streams, one of the most active.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The chat in this live stream is one of the most active. As a Northern Californian, this cast has taken a turn I wasn't expecting. It's fascinating to hear everyone's outside my bubble comments. This is from Paul. Well, again, I worked with a sergeant when I was a couple of years in a job. Great guy. Thought he was really on the ball. And he used to tell me the first thing that he was going to do when he retired, he goes, the moment he goes, that first check of the first pension check landed in his account, he was going to go out, buy the biggest bag of marijuana, roll the biggest spliff, and get himself nice and high. And I was like, really? And again, he was somebody that I worked uniform narcotics with and was good at it. And he's like, oh, dude, once this is no longer my occupation, he goes, I'm gonna. He goes, do you think I didn't enjoy this stuff back when I was in high school and college? I'm like,
right,
fair enough. Again, I never partook because it never interested me. Have I drank to excess? Certainly. Multiple times?
No, sure.
Certainly. Have I done stupid things while after drinking, while drinking?
But of course.
I've gotten older, and I like to think that I no longer do such to such an extent anymore, and I make better judgment decisions. Part of the issue is too. This is coming from somebody as retired law enforcement. I see a lot of people with the assumption of, well, if marijuana is legal, then I can drink in my car. I can't drink in my car, but I can get high in my car with marijuana. There's no difference legally. Now, I know that the law has changed that you can't necessarily search for marijuana if you smell marijuana in a car. But guess what? If I smell alcohol in a car, I'm going to bring you out, and we're going to do a sobriety test.
Yeah, would you do the same roadside sobriety test with somebody who was smoking marijuana?
If they smelled of marijuana, I would. And I
mean, do they give cops the do they give like that that nystagmus test when they move the finger and they're watching your eye?
Well, here's the thing:
your eye movements, and then the walking. Somebody might be just so relaxed on marijuana that they wouldn't walk different. Their balance might be better. When walking that heel toe line.
That generally speaking, like my patrol days, especially when I was very active in the late 90s, early aughts. If you brought somebody in because you thought they were under the influence of marijuana, you brought them into the station house, and then you notified highway, and MIPD highway patrol would come, and then they would draw up a warrant to have blood drawn.
Right, because I guess blood is the only way to know what the person has ingested within the last hour.
You can't. You're not going to be blowing your alcohol numbers.
No,
that's not going to happen. So, I think I'm within view of catching up, Rach. I mean,
all right.
Don't get spoiled, folks. I'm trying.
Yeah.
If I want a game, it's better to be in town. This is Cal. It's also easier commuting from town to my service area south along the bay. Listen, I prefer to game close. When I was gaming close, it was out in Suffolk County, actually.
It was Suffolk.
Yeah, and out Long Island. Yeah. And for a 7:30 game, I had to leave my house by about 4:30. It would take about 2 hours to get out to the game.
So it's like 2 counties away from us.
Yeah, it would take 1 hour to get back, maybe a little bit less. But then again, anonymous dude, when I was on patrol in the late 90s, early aughts, there was a lot of stems and seeds.
Yeah.
It was
Shake.
it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of shake. And unless you got the people that were buying the hydro in the glass vials, and then they
that was a great marketing ploy.
Yes, it was. It's like, dude.
It's like it's non-toxic.
Look, it's in glass. It's not plastic. It must be good. Let's see. Yes, Tom, my experience is that wargamers have one true addiction: buying miniatures. Oh. Probably. I mean, listen, I didn't play much wargaming because my gaming group had no interest in wargaming except for one player who wound up joining the Air Force when he was like 18. But I would enjoy the war games, but I wasn't buying miniatures for war games. I was buying miniatures to play with my D&D, and then never used them. So I don't know. Wizard Tower Games. Weed is legal in Michigan, and they treat it like alcohol here. You cannot be under the influence in the vehicle, and that's the way it should be.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a perception that, well, if you can't like search my car because of the smell of weed, dude, then I can smoke weed in the car and I'm good. No, maybe I can't search for the substance because it's no longer, quote, illegal on the state level. But if I smell it, just like if I smell alcohol in your breath, now we can work on the assumption that you're under the influence and shouldn't be behind the wheel. Shouldn't be behind the wheel. So that's where that comes into effect. Yes, Tom, painting them is an option, but my eyesight sucks now. Anonymous dude, I want to bring Tenkar some good weed. Good weed will change the perspective. Unless it comes as an edible and it's odorless, thank you, but fuck no.
Aww.
No, seriously, I don't like this. I don't like the smell of weed. Like, I don't like the smell of Jägermeister or the taste of Jägermeister.
I can't. That nauseates me.
Yeah. So why would I, dude? I'm gonna get you some great Jägermeister. Yeah. I don't like Jägermeister. Yeah, but no, I'm gonna get you some really good Jägermeister. But no, dude, that stuff makes me want to vomit. But I'm gonna get you some great Jägermeister, dude. You're not gonna. Now, if you want
some nice brownies or
some nice brownies or some nice gummies,
I'll make a nice butter, put it on the toast.
Oh, that's really great. Start my day out. I don't want a weed butter.
Okay.
But
just an option.
Yeah.
Just trying to explore all avenues.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Rach. I appreciate it, but no, I don't think so. So I don't know if that would work. So, yes, Cal, you're still kicking, so God bless you. Shadow, I buy miniatures all the time, but never seem to have just the right ones for my gaming table. I owe you this week, since after Easter, things should have calmed down. I don't think I have any more medical issues coming up.
I will make sure he gets to the post office.
Well, she knows because she'll be the one going into the post office.
Yes.
Because we have no parking at our post office. Welcome to New York. Cal, for some reason I come close to being killed many times, but keep surviving. Yeah, no, I'm somebody who I was a cat. I've used up probably about half my lives, at least. I understand that. Yes, God has a mission for you, Cal. Keep on trucking. That's what it comes down to. You know what? If for some strange reason you are here and you say, "Wow, why am I still here?" There's probably a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
I have figured out on my end. I've come to the conclusion that there's probably a reason for it that I don't understand. But when the answer is given to me, I gotta be ready for it. So, but that's just my perspective. It's different for everybody. Yes, just in time for your birthday. All right, Shadow. Well, there we go. Mm-hmm. My life returns to me probably Tuesday. My son is up here visiting from Nashville, so we got stuff we're doing at the holidays tomorrow for Easter. We got a family event we're going to be doing apparently on Monday. So, but once all that stuff calms down, Operation Spring Cleaning commences.
Oh yeah.
I know how to commit to stuff in public to make sure that my wife doesn't kill me.
I will keep holding you to it, though.
She'll keep holding me to it. There you go. Yep, we were all here for a reason, and I truly believe that. It's one of the reasons why, you always see the story or the movie about, well, if you could change one event in your past, what would you change? And I've always said, I would change nothing. I've had events that were miserable fucking shit that I wish I could avoid.
Mm-hmm.
But would I ever say, wow, let me change that? Because if I change that, maybe I'm not here.
Well, right. Because your character doesn't get refined and
all the events,
made who you are.
Paul, if you sent the email today or late last night, I probably haven't seen it. I've been running around not like a headless chicken, but I've been running around a lot today. But is this the Quest? Wait, I think somebody sent me something. Maybe it was you. That the Quest is being rebooted on Amazon Prime, or kind of, sort of. I have to check. There's stuff that when we were in the Poconos for about 3.5 days. Went up Tuesday after my doc appointment. Came home Friday, and I was literally seizing my pants when it came to anything dealing with the internet. First, we had to blowing all the data. But because Rach and I were just having a great time, relaxing, and doing moderately fun stuff. Nothing like, oh, did you go to a water park? No. What did you do? We went shopping, driving, eating, relaxing, all the stuff that was good
dog walking,
all the stuff that's good for your mental health. Never underestimate mental health when it comes to any of this stuff. Now, I mean, going to conventions for me is good for my mental health. It allows me to reboot how I interact with people, how I see people. And sometimes maybe over the internet you get pissed off at somebody because you're only getting the extremely distilled version of them. And then maybe you see them at a convention because they're part of your circle. And you realize, wow, what I was dealing with online is not the exact same vision or person that I was dealing with now face to face. And it's not saying that people are two-faced or intentionally trying to give off different views of themselves, whether it's online and in person.
Well, the reality of knowing a person is different.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people.
You don't get the full essence of it.
Yeah, I've had
from
people,
typing.
I've had people, threaten to, hey, you're a Nazi, I'll punch you out if I. Those threats online, and then you see you at a convention. It's like, hey, Tenkar, how are you? Because the online isn't real. Like, you can make threats, and it's like, well, I mean, I really made a threat. Some of that is stuff that that could be a whole other episode, actually, but I don't think we're going to go into that tonight. But
right, that's
a whole heavy.
That's a huge ground to cover there.
Anonymous dude, you need to smoke up with your son. It's a wonderful bonding experience. I don't know about that, dude. Anon dude, you sound like, dude, the best experience I ever had was when my father took me out to the bar when I was 13. I got drunk with him. It was great. I've heard those stories. They're never great. So that's that. That's not a bonding experience. Let them find their path. If it's a vice, you shouldn't be giving your. I've always been of the idea.
Yeah.
Don't give your offspring your vices. Let them find their vices on their own. Okay. I mean, with my son, when he's going to high school, my only thing with him was like, listen, Chris, all right, you're in high school. I understand the pressures you're going to be under. If anybody pressures you to when you're hanging out to drink, I go, I'd rather you tell them that your father has a refrigerator full of craft beer, and if you wanted to drink a beer, you would have one out of your father's fridge and not drink the $50 50 cents a canned Schwill, like Meisterbrow that they're trying to make you drink, or the plastic bottled vodka. I go, I'd rather you have
Georgie.
it right. And I told him, I go, and if you are going to partake, you have to let me know that you did. Okay, so no surprises on my end. I need to be able to account for it. And to me, that was a good solution. But I wasn't telling him go and drink and get high and get drunk. I was saying, if you're going to do this, let's do this in a situation where you're not under peer pressure, where you're doing this under the auspices of a safe family situation. But I wouldn't say, hey, Chris, let's get drunk together. Doesn't quite work. And that's just my perspective. Maybe my perspective is different than yours. Maybe anonymous dude, maybe my maturity level is a bit different than yours. Okay, maybe my experiences in life are different than yours, and puts me in a different spot when it comes to that. Okay. Do I enjoy my son's in his 20s now? Do I enjoy having a beer with him on occasion? Sure, but we're not going to go out and get hammered. Am I right? Rach wants to reprimand me, so I know the voice, I know the face.
Everybody has a different experience of.
I understand it. I just
some people look at marijuana as like medicinal.
It's the smoke of the god, man.
Yeah, like a sacred plant. Or,
I see Jesus in my weed. Tammy, Tom and I are excited to be on here with both. Do we have a date for this venture? No, we don't, but we will figure it out.
Oh, this is
that's Tom's wife. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, it's Mrs. Tabletop Tap Room.
So cool. I was like, we see another lady.
So, Cal, we're conventioning again. However, the ones upcoming are still masking or requiring proof of the jab. North Texas requires neither. North Texas in June requires neither because it's in Texas. Texas forbids such requirements. So that's an opportunity.
Right. If some major thing changes or some drastic, development happens, then whatever the public health authorities, tell you have to do, I guess. Yeah.
So Anandu, Tenkar, is that a baby seat in the background? Something to tell us? All right. So yes, we're gonna have to label you tonight's troll, anonymous dude. So this is my desk chair. This is that office chair with little.
Oh, he's thinking it's like a car seat or something.
No, he's seeing what he wants to see because he's looking to troll. But that's okay. Everybody needs a troll, and whether that troll has the initials of JL or not, everybody needs their own personal troll under the bed. So respect. I can't, man. I wish I could, but I've seen none from you, so I certainly have none to return. On that note, actually, so we're just over the 1 hour mark. It's starting to rain. Our son is still here. He's visiting. He's been extremely quiet. Yes, I know I'm saying that about an adult child, but trust me, having your children of any age be extremely quiet while you're trying to do something, especially like this, is huge and I don't know, a blessing, but it won't last forever. So, with Tower Games, Michigan Geek Recon is in August. It's not requiring proof of vaccination. Massive voluntary. North Texas, massive voluntary too. However, if you are going to require your table to mask as the GM, you have to announce that in your sign up. Tammy, literally buying Tom this chair on Wednesday. We have been searching chairs and trying them out. Too funny, it's the same one. I bought this, and it actually has a footrest that folds out.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I never have used. I used it once as like the gimmick, but it's a very comfortable desk/office chair, and I've been very happy with it. And I think my niece is very happy with it.
She likes that too.
And I bought the same chair in a different color for my sister.
She has a black and white.
Right, because she has back issues, and the support in this chair is pretty good. So I've been very happy with it. No issues. My God, I've had it for a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about a year and a half. Holy crap. Cal, I wish I could go further afield to game, but I probably shouldn't spend that much. Dude, Cal, I understand that completely, and it does get expensive. I mean, uh, when it comes to convention gaming for us, I'd have to say that North Texas is a guarantee every year. ShireCon is a guarantee every year. We had to miss it last year because I had car problems, but the new car right before you couldn't buy any cars whatsoever should not be an issue. Game Hall is right after those two, and like the list of things to do. TotalCon, GaryCon, but then it becomes what can you afford? When we're always going to find North Texas, we're always going to find ShireCon. The other three become what can you afford, what fits your budget better. TotalCon is a con up in Massachusetts we can drive to, so that changes the affordability greatly. But this year, with the mask, my desire to go to many of the conventions was lessened. If I'm going to spend that much money on an activity,
travel, and
I want to make sure I'm getting my money's worth. You know, and when I'm wearing a mask, and I've had this discussion, we're not going to go deeply into it, but Rach and I are retired. We are not required to wear a mask as part of our employment. If I was wearing a mask for the last 2 years as part of my employment, going to a convention with a mask, I would probably go, oh, well, I've done it for the last 2 years. No big deal. I don't wear a mask. I mean, I wouldn't go shopping in New York City until mask mandates were lifted. So why am I going to go to a convention that has a mask mandate and spend that much money and enjoy myself? Probably won't enjoy myself. So that's just my... Yes, anonymous dude. Back issues, Tenkar. Dude, I'm 54. Yes, I've got back issues. I do have sciatica. Why? Because I actually work for a living. Oh, jeez. Sorry. I hope the burn didn't burn you too much. Shadow, good night. Enjoy your dinner. Thanks, Paul, and everyone. Yep. So, I think on that note, we will wrap it up until next week. Little changes, like my personal health stuff. Saw my endocrinologist Tuesday before we went up to the Poconos. And of course, my blood sugar numbers were all good until the blood test came back and my A1C is like 7.2. We got to figure out something, I guess, to lower the A1C. But my daily numbers are good, so I don't know how that works. I am not a doctor. I only play one on TV. But I also found out that my stent in my left main artery a couple of years ago apparently would not have been a stent. It would have been open surgery deal.
Yes.
So that's kind of spooky, scary. So thank God. God bless. Folks, we are still in the midst of the world of pandemic. We kind of tiptoed around it. I am not telling you what to do. In theory, you are all adults and as such can make adult decisions using a skill that we like to call common sense. I would like to think as gamers that we would not make that our dunk skill. We would not put our worst attributes into that, our worst roles, but use your common sense. All right. You know your risk factors. Be guided by such. Other than that, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well.
And take good care.
Take good care. Rach and I will be back again, obviously, next Saturday. Next live stream is Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Joe Block, the Greyhawk Grognard, will be the guest for Mike and myself. And I look forward to seeing you all there and catching up with you all later. Tammy and Tom, we will reach out in the next couple of days and we'll try to find a Saturday that works for all. Looking forward to this. So, folks, if you don't know, we're going to be having Tammy and Tom from Tabletop Tap Room on one of our Gamers Healths. So, yeah, we've announced it. We don't have a date yet, but we'll work on it. All right, folks. On that note, laters.